tries to throw you in a can. What? You're gonna want a shotgun. What? One automatic rifle and a lot of ammo. Gun? Yeah, gun.
We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They'll burn you out like a Waco. They'll stick your ass in a camp. 10-foot cops in riot gear, gonna kick your ass and laugh. The revolution is on its way. Better lock and load your AK. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They gave your money to the banksters. They stole your pension funds. It's time that we took to the streets. It's time we had our turn. A revolution is on its way, and the founding fathers would say, buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Revolution's not clean and neat, you gotta riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat, you gotta drag them through the streets.
There are no riots in the streets. There is 30% more interesting television. Ladies and gentlemen, this is PrimerTime. My name is Michael.
I'm Nick, and Michael, tonight we have a special guest with us. Let's welcome Chris to PrimerTime.
What's up, guys?
Chris, good to have you back, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Totally looking forward to tonight's episode. I think we got some good topics out there. First off, you know, we've got the never-ending assault on your personal right to even talk about firearms.
Nick, let's discuss that a little bit, considering that's a topic that's near and dear to our hearts and to the time frame.
Right. So taking a look at the U.S. State Department, which has given us such great things like Hillary Clinton and the latest info babe, Marie Harf, who, you know, I probably could think that a lot of guys would like to bend over and, you know, knock the stuffing out of her, only for the sheer fact that they would like to knock those ugly-ass glasses off of her head.
I've not seen this one. I'm still kind of partial to Jen Psaki. I think she's kind of cute.
Oh no, no! You're gonna have to donkey punch old Marie Harf just for the sheer fact that the shit that comes out of her mouth, you got to sit there and look at yourself like, did this chick just say this shit out loud? I mean, was that supposed to be in her internal monologue? Like, ISIS, really the way to combat ISIS is to give them jobs? Like,
oh, is that the lady that said that?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but the boss man the other day said that he really doesn't have a plan on fighting ISIS, which, you know, that's really not surprising considering that, you know, they've just unearthed documents that said the United States sought to create funding for a Salafist rebellion movement, which that couldn't be ISIS or anything.
So for my folks in South Texas, a Salafist movement is not a bunch of people going to the store and buying out HEB's supply of salami.
It does sound almost tasty, though.
Yeah. Thanks for clearing that up, Nick.
Yeah, no problem. Texas public school system, folks.
That's right.
So yeah. So
Wait,
the State Department.
Let me drop this in. For anybody in Texas, HEB is actually rationing eggs.
That's ridiculous.
But as long as they're not rationing the spicy ketchup, everything is okay.
Whataburger is rationing Bob. You can only get one Bob at a time.
Damn.
One Bob per order. So.
All right. So anyways, back to the story. The State Department over the years has kind of been a thorn in the side of anybody who really wants to own a piece of American history, because they were the ones that, under Clinton, decided to ban the reimportation of Korean War M1 Garand rifles that were originally loaned from the United States to South Korea until South Korea's weapons industry got up and got moving, and they started indigenously producing their own weapons. Once that happened, the State Department tried to go ahead and they were successful in blocking the reimportation of M1s, which should have really driven down the price of the M1 Garand out there, because now most times you can't get an M1 with less than $1,000. But the latest thing is that they're considering expanding rules to prevent U.S. manufacturers or citizens from publishing unclassified technical information. So that could be anything from a specification of an ammunition design, a weapons design, anything that has to do with technical data. A
reloading manual.
Yeah, a reloading manual that's been in wide distribution and print for years. Chris was fortunate enough to go ahead and pick up a reloading manual not very long ago. So I mean that may be gold here in the near future.
I mean,
it doesn't even extend to what we're doing here tonight. Is that correct in the broad interpretation of this?
Well, yeah, but Chris, what were you going to say?
I'm just saying, like, I mean, just the fact that, mentioning like an AR-15 is chambered in 5.56 or 223. I mean, is that something that would fall under that?
That it would.
Wow.
So, which is essentially any means transmitting the information to the general public. So, this forum that we are currently holding on UCY.tv, this is something that the State Department is looking to go ahead and put the clamps on. And furthermore, they are trying to say that any information meets the definition of public domain. So this means like magazines, periodicals, other publications, anything that has a subscription-based service, or publications even contained in libraries. Information made available over a public conference, meeting, seminar, trade show, exhibition, and website.
YouTube videos on how to field strip your whatever. Your Davis 380.
That is it. So,
Jeez.
Yep. And the revised definition sets forth the State Department's requirement of authorization to release information into the public domain. Basically, what they're going to want you to do is they want you to get a FFL to be able to talk about any kind of information regarding to a firearm. So what this further does is creates a class of the citizenry who is specifically identified as having anything to do with firearms.
So wait a minute. So I go into a store, right, and I want to buy said gun. I have to be an FFL to even talk to another FFL about this rifle, pistol, whatever. That is in the works. It's not stare decisis. It's not settled. But this is scary stuff, because as we've seen in the last 6 months or so, things that get put out in the government, like, oh, by the way, there was a massive breach of information of every branch of government, or, oh, hey, by the way, the U.S. Army's official homepage was hacked. That stuff tends to get released on like a Friday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's called a data dump. And this is one of those things that could actually come out that way. And most people on Friday afternoons aren't thinking about protecting their rights. They're thinking about going up and setting up the grill.
Well, I'll tell you, it's not stopping at the ability to converse freely, or use our First Amendment right to convey information. There's more restrictions in line. If you'll check the window right there, Nick, I've dropped something in about mandatory insurance for firearms owners.
Right.
And interestingly enough, look at the source of the page that I dropped you. That's an insurance magazine. This thing reads like a wet dream.
Well, and this is the thing. This is
90 million new customers at a probably going to be at about $1,500 a year, and that's right now just per customer. It's not going to expand for a little while to per firearm.
Well, and not only
and then there'll be a rate decrease. It'll be $750 per firearm, $1,000 per firearm per year.
This is the European model of firearms control. I've told Chris, Michael, and I've told you, even being able to own a firearm in Europe requires you to have insurance.
And doesn't necessarily matter that you've ever had a need or a cause to have insurance. Like you may have never had any kind of issue where, you know, you've had to either call on that policy or get some kind of backing. But that's just the way they do it. And it's basically what it does is it removes the ability of the average person who's already struggling to meet his bills and financial obligations just to make ends meet. That's one more way that they can screw the individual from being able to own a firearm.
Listen, in this Firearms Risk Prevention Act, introduced by Carolyn Maloney of New York, it's a $10,000 fine if an owner is found not to have a current liability policy.
Yeah. So, you know, when you think about it, they're wanting to stipulate that you have to have, you know, firearms, security devices, containers. You know, I think that's a personal decision. If you want to go
this is a little deeper than that. She quotes that they require insurance to own a car, but there's no such requirement exists for guns. The results are clear. Car fatalities have declined by 25% in the last decade, but gun fatalities have continued to rise. She states that auto insurance has a halo effect on drivers, encouraging them to take preventive measures to avoid accidents. Well, and no such incentive exists for gun owners. So once again, the nanny state rears its head. There's no possible way that insurance makes firearms any safer.
Well, and that's the thing.
And so safer with the air quotes.
Yeah, and you've got this other story that's been dropped in for San Francisco. You know, the city and county of San Francisco, because it's one and the same, going after lawful gun owners again. They have banned the hollow point round. So in San Francisco, if you have hollow point rounds, you're in violation of the law. And not only that, the second law that they recently passed is the requirement of you to actually have your firearms locked up inside your house. So, you know, it's interesting because the Supreme Court refused to hear the case about these two laws. So at some point here in the, I think it's the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals is what I like to call it. You know, that covers a pretty wide swath of the Western United States. And if the Supreme Court is not going to hear it, that Ninth Circuit Court probably issued a ruling and said, hey, yeah, the city and county is within its rights to restrict stuff. And if the Supreme Court refused to hear it, that's the law of the land for those folks. And I'm sorry, you know, I don't understand how anybody in the San Francisco Bay Area, Los Angeles area, anybody who's in the People's Republic of California, if you own a firearm and you are outside of those cities, I feel for you. I mean, in the sense that your laws for anywhere across the 101 corridor or the I-5 corridor outside of San Francisco, San Jose, LA, you're probably in a very gun-friendly part of the state. However, it's the morons that are in those metroplexes that screw it for everybody.
Amen.
Well, you've got sections of the country which are highly populated, which basically are the edges of the country. And they look at the center of the country, the heartland of America, they look at as flyover country, and they don't really count. And you see that in all the media. The media is tailored to Los Angeles or New York.
Right, and that's how it's been. It's been that way for ever since we've had media that goes from coast to coast in this country. I think that it's interesting because we come with a different background coming from places like Texas and the southern border states. We really don't fit into that category of the California mentality, and we certainly don't fit into that East Coast mentality a lot of times. But it's amazing how a lot of those northeastern gun regulations tend to move and migrate west, and they take hold in those cities. I'm hoping we go back.
We're looking at media poisoning from that, and I just dropped you another interesting story. Geraldo's bodyguard has been arrested for a lack of a carry permit in Maryland, and he's in jail. Now, Geraldo has been known to be fairly not a friend of firearms by any means.
No.
Unless it suits him, like firing a Tommy gun when he's opening up Al Capone's vault or something like
you had to bring that up.
I'm sorry.
I remember watching that.
So, I mean, if you want to take a look at that, and I mean, that just highlights the hypocrisy. He doesn't want you to have firearms, but he has armed bodyguards. Right. He doesn't need to have a firearm. His crew has firearms. His posse.
Right, of course, and that's the problem. You take a look at the latest. What is the latest? The New York Post attack on Marco Rubio about him and his wife having a combined 17 traffic violations over the last 20 years. Well, yeah, what are we going to talk about? Hillary Clinton having those? Well, of course not, because she hasn't driven anywhere. She doesn't get.
Yeah, she hasn't been behind the wheel of a vehicle probably in 20 years. And I mean, I'm a little bit older than you guys. I'm a little bit older than you guys, and you might remember this, you might not. But George Herbert Walker Bush, prior to Clinton becoming president, in an effort to show his human side and how he was in touch with the people, had gone into a grocery store and saw them using laser scanners, and he had no idea what it was. He had no idea about the price of a gallon of milk or anything. They're not on the same playing field as us.
Well, exactly, and this is the problem. You know, it's amazing to me that as enlightened a politician as folks like Hillary Clinton are, you know, because it's not just her. There's a whole cabal of people out there that believe.
Well, Nick, in the end, it's all of them.
Right, and that's
all of them.
They believe that number one, that you are too stupid an individual as a private citizen to know what's good for you. I mean, that's the whole Obamacare argument, right? You're too stupid to know that you need health insurance, so we're going to force you to get it.
I see. Now I'm going to have to disagree with you on that. I don't think that's the actual argument. I think that's the cover argument. In the end of it all, you really got to look underneath the matter and find out that this is just a great big gigantic hand job for the insurance industry, just like this firearms bill would be. I mean, that's 90 million new consumers at $1,000 a piece. Man, that's a $90 billion windfall for the insurance industry if this goes through, and that's just at the beginning. You know it's never going to be just you're insured for firearms. You're going to have each one of your firearms insured, just like your automobile, right? You're not insured to drive. Your vehicles are insured.
Right, but here's the thing: you are, as an individual, licensed to drive, and that is where they're going to come out and say there is a precedent. And oh, by the way, you need to have a license to be married. You need to have a license to practice law. You need to have a license to do just about anything. What's one more license, especially when there's a fee attached to it?
Well, and on top of that, if we can add a fee and think about the children at the same time.
Think about the children. You're gonna have to tie that. You're gonna have to tie that into an education reform, platform. It's like we're gonna have to make sure that everybody registers their firearms and gets their insurance to be able to fund the next school bake sale.
We're on to something. We need to get a hold of Feinstein and Schumer. What time is it in Haifa?
Yeah. Well, the sad thing is, Michael, is that anybody born in Jerusalem that gets a U.S. passport is no longer able to put Jerusalem or Israel as their place of birth.
They're allowed to put Jerusalem. They're not allowed to put Israel as the country of their birth. Is that correct?
There you go.
And since this anti-Semitic decision has been passed down by the Supreme Court, have the Palestinians launched any pop bottle rockets at Israel, and has the Iron Dome that we paid for been effective? Because if not, we can give them more money. I'm fairly certain.
I have not heard of any such thing.
Are you paying enough taxes?
Because we can certainly am. I think Chris and I are not only paying taxes, we're the recipient of a lot of tax dollars.
Yeah, we are.
But
I appreciate it, by the way.
But you say that, but you look at it, and are you really the recipient of it, or is the people who are getting paid to give you the equipment are they the recipients of it? You're just the
I'm the end user in a long line of people that are usurping the chain of command.
binding edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolute.
So I can tell you that anybody who's ever been a member of the United States Armed Forces knows that anything we get is duly approved and been bidded on and been purchased by the lowest bidder of the group. So
absolutely,
you know, yeah, still, but it's a lot of money. I mean, it's really I'm kind of fed up with the war profiteering and kind of like the blindness to the actual war profiteering and what's going on and how that kind of blends in with the erosion of our rights as Americans. Because, well, everything started off is that they hate us for our freedoms.
Well, and this is the thing. They hate us for our freedoms, but oh, by the way,
like by now, yeah. You know, they should be kind of sort of annoyed at us.
Well, here's the thing. You know, we've had two massive data breaches in the last week. We have, you know, threats to the U.S. Capitol and you know, there's another. It was a White House press briefing that was interrupted as well as a session of Congress by a threat that was phoned in. You know, at some point, it's no longer incompetence. It has to be by design.
Absolutely. And Nick, there's really only one thing to say, and it's I miss my country.
Oh, sure. I would be asking, where the hell did it go?
It's not on TV. That's for damn sure.
And I can tell you that the social experiment that is the United States Army continues to go, because for anybody out there that's listening in chat, you know, the United States Army has a Secretary of the Army. His name is John McHugh, and he's decided to either retire or he is being retired. And the leading candidate for the position happens to be the openly gay type, who is the first one to be nominated, and if confirmed, will assume that post. So, you know, it wasn't just the first.
You know, gays in combat really should piss off ISIS something fierce.
Well, you know, you start, instead of cutting people's heads off, you start shoving dicks in their mouth. Maybe somebody's going to take a notice.
You know, unfortunately, I've seen it on the internet where they do both.
Yeah,
and that's really kind of disturbing.
Yeah, but if it's an ISIS guy getting his head cut off and one of those homos doing
but see, it never is the ISIS guy, and strangely enough, it's never who ISIS claims to be the great big Satan or even the little Satan. They never attack the little Satan. And when they attack the big Satan, it's always a guy who's a journalist, a freelance journalist who ends up in Iraq or in, you know, Syria or Lebanon or something like that, and has strange ties to the FBI and CIA, and by the way, is always Jewish.
Oh, you know, or it could be Japanese.
So
don't forget that.
But they, you know, other than that, when they do that, they only kill other Muslims. You know, they never, and when they get shot up, they end up in Israeli hospitals.
Well, you know, that's
how
things go.
I really don't want to do math tonight and look at common denominators, because that would really make Mrs. Truax happy, and I didn't like her a lot, so I'm going to do nothing like that to make her happy.
Yeah, I try not to do math.
I've seen this on a TV show before, and it was interesting.
Well, keeping on that whole ISIS tip, since I'm going to lighten the mood a little bit, I'm going to chime in with a joke and see if anybody picks it up. So, what is the latest name of the gay bar that's being built in Kabul, Afghanistan?
Goatback Mountain. I don't know.
Chris, you got a guess?
Something to do with goats, I'm sure. Go ahead.
No,
swords and scimitars.
It is the Alawahu Cock Bar.
The salami exchange.
There you go.
Yeah, no. All right, enough of that.
Pretty good. So anyhow, yeah, the latest thing that I'm kind of interested in is Chris was talking about a Beretta 92 FS.
Yeah.
Chris, tell me about that, because I got a Beretta 92 FS story after this. Go right ahead.
Well, I mean, this was my very first firearm I ever purchased, and being the very first firearm I ever purchased, had to get it in stainless steel, and
Ooh, inox.
yeah, it's got some
Okay, so is this an American made or is this an Italian made?
That's a great question. I don't know. 92 FS Beretta. I'm assuming.
There's a factory in Italy and there's a factory in the United States, which is soon to be somewhere in Tennessee. The easiest way to tell is by the price. Did you pay nearer to $750 or to $650?
Yeah, it was like $785, I believe it was.
That might be the Italian one.
Okay.
And then plus, the other way to check is to look at the side where it says "Made in Italy."
That's true.
Always
That's true.
That's always the dead giveaway.
So, anywho, so I was talking with Nick, and I was looking up some, what is it? Is it called Cerakote, I believe it's called?
Yep, Cerakote.
Looking up some Cerakote or, what was that, liquid dip? I think it is.
Hydro dip.
Hydro dip. There you go, hydro dip.
I don't think hydro dipping's got the sturdiness that you're looking for.
No, it does not. Watching a few YouTube videos, it looks like Cerakote is probably the best way to go.
There's Cerakote and there's Duracote, and I believe of the two, Cerakote appears to be the most durable. But man, if you've got a brand new Inox 92 FS, I'd leave it. That's really pretty. Does it have black grips on it or wood grips on it?
No, it's got black rubber grips. It is nice. It's got night sights on it. I don't know. It's a little too flashy for me.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's the one that you kind of keep and you put away. And now that you've kind of got it into you, Beretta 92s are fairly cheap. Beretta 92s in my area are all over the place and at a relatively good price. And this leads into my Beretta story. A friend of mine, a good friend of mine, earlier tonight, I went over to his house and looked at a brand new Beretta he acquired. And it was a 92 FS, but it was the blued version, and it was the Triton version, which has wood grips with a medallion in it.
Right.
9mm, two magazines with it. Cleaning kit. It came in a plastic box inside of a cardboard box, or a paper cardboard box. And really nice, and the interesting thing is the price brand new for that out the door for him. Now, he's a value shopper, came out to be $505.
Wow, not bad.
Yeah. Where I'm getting at for you, instead of taking that really, really nice 92 Inox, it's really a nice thing, and as it gets older, it holds its value quite a bit. I'd pick up look for a used 92 in your area. It's got a little bit of wear on it. And, I mean, you're familiar with the weapon already.
Right.
Quite familiar with it. You could look at what needs to be repaired and then send that off for the $150, the $150 job after you're into this thing for $400. Or,
Well, that's one of the things that a lot of folks have been asking about. Is it really worth the cost of going ahead and taking that pistol all the way down, sending it in, waiting the time that it takes to get completed, and then receiving it back?
It's done in a day. It's done in a day.
Well, there you go.
And they're popping up all over the place. Chris, when you had seen the Cerakoting, what had you seen?
What have I seen?
Yeah, how did you become aware of it, and what did you find in research near to your area, people who did it in your area?
Yeah, there's a guy, probably, I don't know, a couple hours away from me, and he posted on Facebook an advertisement for his business, and that's how I found out about the whole thing. And then I started doing some research on YouTube, and it looks like it's pretty durable. That was the main thing that I wanted out of it, durability, and really just wanted to tone down my flashiness. It was just...
I think that flashy, you already paid for that flashy. You can't undo that. Let me just be a tad crude, and I'm going to tell you this: hookers do not give refunds.
there you go. And there's no sex in the champagne room.
There is no sex in the champagne room, and you are got to keep that Beretta like it is.
Well, I mean, honestly, I was thinking about getting rid of the whole thing because in the military, that was my.
That is made out of inox, are prone to cracking, and they're really kind of like lower end. And I would be happy to take that off your hands for $300.
$300. Okay.
That's a steal.
American, I might be able to go $350. But you got
we'll talk offline, but you're gonna have to raise the price a little bit. But yeah, it's just I was really looking at it, and I'm like, I need to make some room in the gun cabinet here, and what can I get rid of? And the 92 was probably the first thing that popped in my mind. But then I started looking at the Cerakote, and I was like, man, this could look pretty badass.
Well, I think that when it comes to the Cerakote,
it's either
it's all about how the form and the function, and then making it visually appealing. If you don't like the stainless steel, there's nothing wrong with going and changing it.
Yeah, it's either change it or get rid of the gun itself. So it's going to happen either way, I believe. Sorry, Michael.
Well, I'll tell you this: if that's your two choices, is to change it or to get rid of it, I would be on the side of get rid of it, just because you'll get more of your money back. And of course, we know that to have it Cerakoted, he's not going to do it just because you're kind of cute. He's going to charge it. He's going to charge you about $200. $150 to $200. I'm gonna guess is what the price is.
Maybe $100 in a hand job. You don't know.
Well, maybe. Considering the section of the country you live in, it's not.
Ain't no mud in my barrel.
So, but what I'm saying is, at that point, if you're going to do it, I would sell the 92 and come up with as much cash to use in the future or whatever. And you're actually going to lose value on that pistol if you take that 92 and recoat it. You're going to lose big time on the value.
Yeah, but then again,
I mean, probably. But honestly, if I do Cerakote it, I don't think I'll get rid of it anytime soon. I think it's gonna be a hand-me-down.
There you go.
Okay. Well, I understand. But I'm always also of the opinion that you should just purchase another one and do that to that.
Okay.
Well, it is lonely by itself.
That's true. He does need friends.
That's right. So that's one of the things that I haven't really had the itch to pick up any new handguns, but I did see something that was quite interesting that came out the last couple of days, because I'm more of a rifle guy. I like being able to reach out and touch somebody 300-400 yards away. And recently, we've talked about the 300 Blackout that I built and recently been able to shoot. But there's a new kid on the block.
Oh.
And it's in a existing diameter bullet that's been out there in the past for a little while. But now Kramer Defense has introduced a 6.8 by 45 millimeter round, and it's called the Urban Combat Cartridge. So this is.
So did they shove a 270 into a 5.56?
Well, yeah. So this is the 6.8. So you've also heard of the 6.8 SPC.
And the 6.8 Grendel.
That's a 6.5 is a Grendel.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So this is another 223 or 5.56 parent case that is necked to allow a 6.8 diameter bullet into it. And right off the bat, the manufacturer is claiming that it has a higher muzzle velocity and retains more energy at distance as compared to the 5.56 and the 300 Blackout. So, all things aside, I'll tell you what, the diameter, I think the diameter of the round penetrating somebody does a lot of the killing. Some people are of the opinion that speed is what kills.
I'm firmly of the opinion that it's velocity.
So, that's one of those things that we could get pretty scientific at, because when it comes down to it, people like to make the claim that hydrostatic shot will go ahead and create a wound cavity that actually turns all the surrounding organs into jelly. I think out of us, Chris is probably the closest guy to be able to have the real life experience in turning people into jelly.
Yeah, that's right. Load Sabo.
There you go. 120 millimeters of fun, and I'm not talking about what's in my pants.
So you realize that's like the size of Virginia Slim.
Hey, it's not about the size of the boat in the water, but I know that it takes a hell of a long time to get to England in a rowboat. You know what I mean?
And in the right light, it's sort of cute. Okay, so listen, you're bringing up this thing where you don't see any kind of like handguns that are looking you in the eye and calling you.
No,
Chris,
I don't, because the latest thing that's out there, everybody wants the new Glock. Everybody wants the sub $500 1911, and everybody wants to have the latest and greatest concealed carry. So, if you're not looking for one of those three, and if you're, say, in the market for like a 9mm, options out there are kind of endless. But I don't see anything that's really just like grabbing my attention that's like, gotta have it.
Chris, is there anything out there that's grabbing you?
Well, I wish there was somebody out there grabbing me, but did you say
this
something?
This is like the Lonely Boys version of PrimerTime tonight. This is horrible.
No, not really, guys. Pistol-wise, I haven't really been looking at a whole lot of pistols either. It's more been rifle here lately, and I pretty much have all the pistols I need at the moment. My wife is listening, and so it's really been 308 right. Is what I've been focusing on lately.
So now with the ability to go out and shoot, are you tending to purchase more of your ammo, or are you doing the home loads?
No. Oh, well, it's funny you bring that up there, Nick, because Nick, about 2 weeks after I got my Springfield Armory M1A, after going out to the range, twice or so, and paying $1.50 per round per trigger pull, Nick here was like, hey, buddy, you ever thought about doing reloads? And I was like, not really. And about 2 days later, I've got my first reload kit, and I've been hooked ever since.
He's got that salesman quality. I think he took a class.
It's called.
I'm pretty sure he took a class in it.
It was the 8-week class given to you by the Soldier Support Institute.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of referring to.
Yeah.
Well, we in the reference to the pistols thing, good friend of mine and I were talking about this the other day, and there's really nothing out there either. So I'm completely in agreement with you guys with that. But we took the discussion a little bit deeper, and really there's no new design out there. There's nothing from any existing products that are really calling me. And as a matter of fact, it's now down to the way that the pistol actually operates. Well, and that has become the most important thing to me, and not necessarily like a recent revelation to me, but it's the easiest way to say this is the safety has to go down to fire it.
Well, Chris and I have had actually a kind of discussion, Michael, and this kind of ties into it. Chris was actually looking at, really taking a look into the difference between a striker fire and a hammer fire pistol. So, Chris, go into that for us a little bit.
Well, what I found, as I was looking for a subcompact. What's that?
I'm just joking. Go ahead.
I was in the market for a subcompact concealed carry. I was carrying a Springfield Armory XD subcompact, but it was just a little too thick for me. I was printing pretty much everywhere I went, just because I like to wear tight clothes.
That he does.
Great physique. Anyways, so I was in the market, and I started looking around, and I really did not like the triggers on most of these subcompact concealed carry size pistols, especially the 380s, and one that sticks out in my mind is the LC9. I just cannot stand that trigger.
Well, now there's several iterations of the LC9. There's the older LC9 and then the new and improved. I will agree with you that older LC9 had a horrible trigger.
Yeah, that's the one I'm speaking about.
but it went bang every time.
Yeah, that's true. There was another Taurus. I think it was a PT 111, horrible trigger. But anyways, I came across the Smith & Wesson Shield, and that thing is absolutely amazing.
So I think that's one of the things is that it took you quite a while to actually find the one that you felt comfortable with.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Well, I'm in kind of the same boat as well. I actually used to carry a LC. At the time it was when I purchased it, it was the best of the slim single stack pistols, because I was kind of in the same situation as you with the tight clothes, but it's not necessarily due to my wonderful physique. It's just that's just the largest size they sell without like getting the real money, having to shop at the tent maker's place. So yeah, so I was looking for a slim single stack. I will agree that pretty much all the small ones have horrible triggers on it, and I don't think that's necessary.
yeah, it sounds like Skype's acting up a little bit, so we're going in and out. But here's a down
I
to
think
it.
they want them all to have a really long.
Yeah, go ahead, Michael. Skype's going in and out. I think. Oh, sounds like we lost everybody there for a second. We got Michael back?
I believe I'm back.
All right, we got Chris back.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Sure.
okay. Yeah, Skype was getting crazy. I think Homeland Security was freaking keeping tabs on us tonight.
Apparently, they like the long trigger 380s.
Well, either that or the 357 SIG.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I do think that we will awaken Haifa.
Yeah.
In answer to the earlier question.
So, but then,
well, getting back to these.
Go ahead, Michael.
These.
Yeah, Michael, you're dropping in and out. Let me
Triggers on them. That was really something I didn't like. The first two shots, like the shot.
Yeah. We're gonna go ahead and reconnect Michael here in a second, Chris. You still there with me?
Yeah, I'm here with you, buddy.
Okay. So yeah, that's one of those things. I think that we should have Michael back right about now.
No, I think I'm trying right there one more time.
There you go.
There you
Yeah, for my boys in chat, that 120 millimeters I'm swinging tends to knock some cord and wires over. So might have had some problems there.
Somebody's been telling lies again.
Hey, as far as anybody knows, I'm on the metric system, okay?
Is that a smooth bore?
Well, definitely, because they don't want to be calling the French ticklers in, you know what I mean?
M256, my friend.
There you go. Under license by Rheinmetall of Germany.
Yes, sir.
So, in your choice of the shield,
Yes,
that's a striker fired pistol. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Does it have any external safeties, or is it a smooth side like a Glock?
No, it does have a thumb safety up there by the slide, only on the left-hand side, which kind of irks me a little bit because I am left-handed. So
That would
pisses
be
me off.
the sinister hand, as my Dago friends say.
There you go.
Sides all over.
There you go. I had to get that one in there.
So I found that I don't like the controls on the polymer pistols. I found them to be unwieldy, and especially on the subcompacts, and almost unusable until I got my hands on the SIG 938. Did you have a chance to look at one of those?
I
did not.
I haven't seen one, so.
Gentlemen, if you're shopping for the pocket pistol, that's the way I'd counsel. It's along the adage of buy once, cry once, but it's really nice. It's got a very nice trigger. Basically it's a tiny 1911, and actually it's closer, in my mind, it's closer to a Browning high power. It looks more like a 1911 aesthetically, but it takes apart like a high power. And it's 6 rounds and single action, and it's incredibly slim. It may actually be a little bit bigger than the LC9, but it feels so much smaller.
What calibers are we talking?
9mm, and they make one in 380. They call it the 238, which is a copy of the Colt Pony, and and I believe that's a straight across copy. I mean, the parts interchange between the Colt and the Sig, but then they bumped it up to the 9mm, and I'll tell you, the prices on them are coming down, and it's a lot of money to spend on a pocket pistol. And I if you've got it and you can do it, I'd say that's the one. But that's from my view, and I'm kind of partial to Browning high powers and single action metal pistols with hammers.
Well,
So I mean, that's kind of where we're into it. There's a lot of people out there who don't like hammers.
Well, speaking of hammers, I wanted to kind of take a couple seconds before we ended up doing some of the constitutional stuff. Have you guys heard of the Chiappa Excalibur?
Is that it's a single shot that's got several barrels that you can change out?
Right, yeah, and basically it goes everything from 12 gauge to 22 long rifle, and eight additional sleeve adapters. So you got 380 9mm, 357 Magnum, 38 Special, 40 Smith & Wesson, 44 Mag, 45 ACP, 410, and 45 Colt, and 20 gauge. So it is basically an over-under combination gun. It's got 2 triggers, and they even went ahead and threw in some Picatinny rails so you can go ahead and throw on your Hello Kitty cup holder. But this is in the style of the M6 survival rifle.
Nick, you said it has rails. That's all I needed to hear.
That's it. So
that gives me the opportunity to purchase more.
This gives you the opportunity to go ahead and have the ultimate field gun, where you can not only shoot a bunny with the shotgun, but you can go ahead and take a bird with the 22.
Nice. What's the price point in this?
Well, that's the thing. It's on Chiappa's website, and they don't necessarily have a price on it. But when you go ahead and you take a little bit of a look around, you're coming up.
Let's just say Bud's. Let's say Bud's Gun Shop online. That's a big one that I check.
Well, see, I don't tend to look at Bud's Gun Shop because I'm never in a place where I can see it. I always kind of look at Guns America or Gun Broker, and I'm seeing bottom dollar of somewhere around $449, and up to $575. But
that's too much in my mind.
Yeah, but when you think about it, you've got so many possibilities.
That's true.
So
yeah, but seriously, if you're going to look at it like that, you might as well go out and get yourself an $89 or I guess or $109 now. New England Firearm single shot 12 gauge, and then go to the Adapters website and get yourself a whole bunch of inserts. You get a package of I think it's 12 or 14 inserts for like $90. You're in the same thing for $200.
Well, the thing here is that this is in the style of the M6. So for folks that don't know what the M6 survival rifle is, it's one that the United States Air Force went ahead and bought in, and that is a Springfield. So it comes with the 410 and the 22, and then in some configurations they actually had it in 22 Hornet. Biggest thing was that availability of the ammo was key, and the ability to carry a lot of ammo in a short amount of space without taking up a lot of weight. That's kind of the considerations there. And
well, but this is just externally reminiscent of it, right? Because you said this is a Chiappa product.
Yeah, this is Chiappa, and like I said, they
kind
of taken the idea.
Chiappa is really, really pushing it.
Yeah, certainly, and like I said, I don't think this is something that you've got to have the
you've just got to really have the desire to go out there and have something that you can shoot almost any combination of ammunition for. I mean, who has a ton of 380 ammunition on hand? I don't.
Well, I'm not necessarily a 380 shooter, but I've got friends who do shoot 380, and they've got, I'm guessing right where they're sitting at this moment, they probably got 300 rounds within, reach.
Right. And one of the things I kind of look at ammunition as it's good to have it, but I'll tell you what, it goes bad. It's like it's not like McDonald's French fries where you can set them out in 2 days and come back and
I'm going to have to disagree with you. Your incidents of the 40 caliber Smith & Wesson Winchester white box going bad in Hawaii after dubious storage conditions in high humidity conditions or high humidity situations, that's not necessarily the ammunition's fault.
Well, when you take a look at it, a lot of this goes back to the reloading stuff. Like Chris, when you're doing your reloads, are you protecting the primers at all? Are you putting any kind of sealant or coating on them?
No, I'm not putting any sealant or coating, but I am keeping them in my my gun safe, in a humidity controlled environment. I'm not leaving them out in the garage or anything, but
yeah, because as we know, certain parts of the country are more prone to humidity.
Right, and it does affect the way your round,
Yeah, definitely.
on the paper there.
Whether it goes bang or it just goes click.
Yeah.
So, no, I think Michael, you're right in the sense that it's pricey, but I definitely think if you've got one of those odd calibers, like I consider 380 an odd caliber. Definitely consider 45 long Colt if you're not into cowboy action. That's probably an odd caliber for a lot of people. But if you've got something like that and you want to be able to put it to good use, maybe something like that might not be a bad purchase.
I've got different definitions of odd calibers. If you cannot find it at Walmart, it's an odd caliber, and I mean Walmart prior to the scare.
Because I was about to say,
as we know,
22 long rifle is now an odd caliber by that time.
Yeah. Right. Well, Walmart's the special exception to that because, it does appear that Walmart gets 22 ammo in, but they don't abide by any of the little white paper notes that say only 3 boxes per customer.
It's
that's only
per person that have the phone number of the guy who's offloading the crate.
I don't even think it's so much of that anymore. I just think it's at Walmart especially that they have employees that just don't care, and they don't, if somebody wants to buy 10 boxes and it's on the shelf, that's less they have to ring up later, so sell it all to him. And we're at places that are more sporting goods oriented. They do enforce those ammunition limits, and it is there. I mean, it's at Academy, it's at Cabela's, it's at Gander Mountain.
Yeah.
It's gone from Wally really quick.
Well, I've got an interesting story. We talk about our local gun trader websites and whatnot, and actually at work today I had an interesting one. So I want to take a couple seconds to talk about that one.
Let's hear it.
So, we have an individual that works where I work, and he's former special forces, or so he claims, and he put out for sale on the bulletin board that he's got an M4 for $2,200, and that $2,200 will get you a 5.56 that's been to the range and shot 100 times flawlessly, and that's custom built with CAA parts as well as some Magpul stuff. So
shit.
I don't know when Magpul started going in on solid gold, but apparently
I'll bet you that thing's probably got rails all over it, dude.
I'm sure it does.
How many cup holders does it have?
What's that, Chris?
How many confirmed kills does it have?
Well, that's the thing with 100 rounds going down range at the range. I'm going to say 0.
I'm pretty sure there were some paper zombie targets that were killed a few times. Okay?
Yeah, maybe
those count.
And I'm sure that he probably even had the bayonet fixed at the same time.
In fact, let me get that guy's number. I'm going to call him up and tell him what a jackass he is.
Yeah, so that was my gun trader story. But actually, I did forward email to Chris. Actually, Chris forwarded the email to me about a soldier recently assigned to Fort Riley, Kansas, shooting a .22 and injuring his cousin. Was it his cousin?
Yeah,
injuring his cousin in Virginia. So apparently, this soldier should be.
That's a hell of a shot, man.
This soldier should either be working for DARPA developing the next .22 caliber round, or somebody should learn how to proofread.
Because I mean, like, did he have to lick his thumb to judge the wind from? Because I mean, that's what, like 1,400 miles.
Yeah.
Hey, not to take into account, but he shot his cousin.
Yeah, that's some precision small arms marksmanship.
Please tell me he had a good scope. It wasn't one of the $39 Barskis from from Kmart.
I think his name was Juba. I think Chris might knows this guy as Juba the Sniper from Baghdad.
Oh,
jeez, you are retarded.
Yeah, well, once again, that points to how the media has no concept of what they're talking about, other than they know they have to scare everybody.
Fear sells. And speaking of fear sells, Michael, go ahead and give us the rundown on firearm safety.
Dun, dun, dun. We need some music for this. Rule number 1, every firearm is loaded. It is loaded. Loaded! Until you confirm that it is not loaded. Rule number 2, keep the barrel pointed in a safe direction at all times. Rule number 3, know what your target is and know it is beyond your target. And if we had scary music, it would play here before I said keep your booger hook off the bang switch, and there would be scary sounds playing with it. So that's 4 rules of gun safety.
That's it. That's down and dirty, as we like to say. So yeah, Chris, I want to say thanks for coming on with us. It's good to hear you and good to have you on the show. You're a PrimerTime fanatic, and we love you here.
Awesome, man. And
Chris, it's wonderful.
You guys having me on. I had a great time, as always. Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome anytime, man.
Thanks, buddy.
So, Michael, what are you going to look for in your next opportunity to get to the gun shows?
I'm not sure when the next show is coming up. My current bill of needs, firearms wise, extends mainly to ammunition, because I view ammunition as currency in the future. So it's almost an investment. Firearms wise, I'm still going to take a look at that double tap 9mm Derringer, that super thin, kind of heavy aluminum thing. I'm going to take a look at that and see whether or not that's the item for me. And I didn't get a chance to do it, but I'm going to try and do that maybe tomorrow. And I'd like to go out and shoot a little bit with a couple of my friends this week.
Cool.
Awesome.
Any plans to hit the range, Chris?
No, unfortunately not. I was able to go hit the range this past weekend, and the wife left me out there for about 6 hours or so I got all my range time I need
there you
for
go.
the next 2 weeks or so.
Normally we would say with the wife leaving anybody that it's neglect, but in that case it was deserved.
That's
so
right.
want to say it was a great show. We got a lot in. Too bad we had a little bit of technical difficulty with Skype being listened to. But thanks to the guys listening in chat, keeping us on the straight and narrow when our audio goes wonky. Michael, thanks for getting us on here, man, and thanks, Jules. Thanks for having us.
Nick, I'd like to thank you guys for being here, and I'd really like to thank UCY.TV. Once again, it's really the only thing like it out there. It's commercial-free radio. You get a chance to say what you want to say. There's not a lot of places like it. Coming up next, Dane Wadington with Geoengineering Watch. That's big stuff. He's got all the documents, so keep in tune for that.
Yeah,
Nick, I'd just like to just give a shout out to a couple of my friends and everybody out there. Thanks a lot. I appreciate everybody doing what they can. Y'all keep listening, man. UCY.TV.
Buy a gun, folks. Take it easy.